Chris, good to see you. Relegation pretty much confirmed now. Reflecting on it as a whole, how disappointing is it for you, for the boys as well?
Yeah, it is disappointing. Obviously, it's not how we really envisaged our season going, but also there's a lot of lessons have been learnt. Learnt as much about the staff at the club, kind of the workings of the club, and the squad, obviously, of course. But the way I look at it, and I've said it before, is it gives us an opportunity to start again, reset, and do things I perceive as properly, which is still a bitter pill to swallow. But we have to take light of the situation, and we have to use it as motivation for the club to be better on all levels, and that's what I'm going to do.
You mentioned there the things that you want to kind of do properly.
Yeah.
Can you kind of elaborate on that? Or?
Well, the balance of the squad to begin with. Where do I start with the squad this year? You talk about, everyone's seen the film Moneyball, and you talk about value for money within the squad, and the balance of the squad is just hasn't been right. And that's something that we inherited. It's actually not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just the circumstances we found ourselves in, and kind of how I think we should go about it now is make sure that we have. I've spoken about this a number of times about resonating within the community, having a genuine identity, and it just gives us an opportunity to have a proper identity, and gives our fans something to buy into. And by that I mean having as many locally based players in the squad as possible, and being in League One will give us an opportunity to do that. Obviously there's been a number of those boys in and around the squad this year, but we're going to be more reliant on those boys playing week in, week out. There's a long list of them which I don't need to go into, but I just think that it gives us an opportunity to do it from the ground up and do it properly.
I know it's not mathematically certain, but have you spoken to the boys about it, and what have they kind of said about it? We don't actually talk about it. We don't use the relegation word because that's a byproduct of what's happened week in, week out. But what we do until the end of the year is we just keep taking it a week at a time. And I said in my interview yesterday that if you look at our last 5, 6, 7 home performances, we've been fairly consistent. You go back to the Toulouse game at the weekend, and that's the second best team in the competition. We're at the bottom, and if you had a neutral come into the ground and watch that game, there wouldn't have been that much between them. And how we'll kind of view the season until there's no more games left is just keep going a week at a time. I know a lot of people might look at it negatively, but taking the positives out of it, like you were rightly mentioning there, how beneficial could a season in League One be, just to get the winning feeling back again, I suppose, around this place?
Yeah, I've asked the staff a few questions. Some of the staff that have been here a lot longer than me, and I asked them kind of when was the last time there was a feel-good factor about the club, and even the club have made statements previously, and they've gone full time, and that was proven to be the wrong decision. And they actually got into the Championship by default, really, more than anything, when Toronto dropped out of Super League, and the knock-on effect was Newcastle to be promoted by default. So for me, what it does give us an opportunity to do is get some confidence back, blood some young Geordies, and not necessarily all Geordies, don't get me wrong, but kind of the pathways into our first team will have to be quite diverse through universities, through other sports and stuff like that. It gives us an opportunity of playing League One to do that consistently, and again just get a bit of a buzz around the club again, because that's really important. And then when we are ready to take that step up again, with regards to what happens with IMG, the club are in a relatively strong position. I've seen the grading and the approximate point system and stuff like that, and we're really not far off. What we just need to do is tidy up a few loose ends, and for me, my opportunity is to build a squad that has
much more value for money.
For a coach whose life not necessarily revolves around it, but rugby league picks a massive part of your life, that must be quite exciting to kind of see this players not necessarily bouncing, but wins coming back, you recruiting the right sort of players. That must kind of boost you up a little.
There's a lot of stuff that we need to get right as a club, and they're the two main ones. But I look at kind of just having kind of giving the fans a genuine idea of what it's going to look like moving forward. And again, I've said this umpteen times before, but I don't want to jump to conclusions or jump the gun. We've got to finish this season well. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it does excite me, just the fact that we can genuinely have people here that care about the club. And everybody knows about the money spent at the club previously and in previous regimes and in the last couple of years, and we're not going to be spending that money. We're going to try to be a lot more sustainable, and by doing that, you actually find out that you have a lot more people at the club that really care about it.
And just very finally, Featherstone obviously is the next task, and it's the toughest task in the championship right now if the league table's anything to go by. How do the boys approach that one? How do you approach that one? Is it very much a similar sort of message to the game against Toulouse? Right?
Very, very much so, Andy. We didn't look at any video on Toulouse, and that if anyone knows me, they won't believe that. We're fairly methodical, and we go through our process of reviewing our performances and previewing the opposition, and but we've just been really focused on what we do, and spoke after the York game that we never want to be beaten in effort areas. I didn't think we were against Toulouse. If we can be a little bit more clinical in good ball when we get the ball and build a little bit more pressure, be a little bit more composed, then we'll cause Featherstone plenty of problems. Obviously, they won the league leaders last week, so hopefully they've been celebrating for a few too many days.